My friends, for some time now, have been suggesting that both science and spirituality might need an upgrade. I'm now going to elaborate on this and share with you why I think that the God of all religions needs an upgrade, and also why you and I need an upgrade in our identity. We need an upgrade in our knowing of the universe, in our knowing of the source of the universe, and in our knowing of who or what we are. But let's first look at some of the current models that do suggest that the God of religion, all religions, might need an upgrade. If God is the source of all experience, if God is infinite, boundless, irreducible, fundamental, shapeless, formless, non-local, irreducible reality, then God, as defined by religions, needs an upgrade, and our scientific model of who we are and how we know this or don't know what we don't know, all of that needs an upgrade. So right now the scientific model is telling us, the scientific model, which is based on theory and experimentation and observation, the scientific model is telling us that there could be 60 billion habitable planets in just the Milky Way galaxy. So there was a study published in 2013 by a team of researchers from the University of Chicago and Northwestern University. The study was titled The Habitable Zone of Red Dwarfs. You can look it up, Yang et al., 2013. And this study found that the habitable zone around red dwarf stars, which are the most common type of star in the Milky Way, is larger than previously thought. This means that there are more planets that could potentially support liquid water on their surface, which is a necessary condition for life as we know it. If the universe is homogeneous and isotropic, and that's suggested by the cosmological constant, then there would be trillions of habitable planets. This is because the Milky Way is just one of billions of galaxies in the universe. In fact, it is suspected that there are 2 trillion galaxies. The number of habitable planets in the universe would depend on a number of factors, of course, including the distribution of stars and planets, the size of the habitable zone, and the definition of what we call habitable. However, it is clear that there are many more habitable planets out there than we previously thought. It is important to note that the 60 billion habitable planets estimate is just that, an estimate. There's still a lot that we don't know about exoplanets. And it is possible that the number of habitable planets is actually much higher or possibly a little lower. However, observations and studies like the Yang study provide strong evidence that there are many more habitable planets than we previously thought. And this is a very exciting project and prospect. There are other factors that affect the number of habitable planets. These include, number one, the composition of the atmosphere. a planet with a thick atmosphere that traps heat could be habitable, even if it is farther from its star than a planet with a thin atmosphere. Other factors. A magnetic field can also protect a planet from harmful radiation from its star. So the presence of magnetic fields suggests other habitable planets. The size of the planet. Larger planets are more likely to have liquid water on their surface. Then the presence of what we call plate tectonics can help to recycle nutrients and create a habitable environment. So the scientific model that we have is actually very suggestive of trillions of uncountable habitable planets. But that's not the only thing. It is also true or possible or theoretically hypothesized that there are at least 2 trillion galaxies in our universe and that there could be multiple universes. The number of galaxies in the observable universe is estimated to be about 100 billion to 2 trillion. The observable universe is the part of the universe that we can see, because the light from those parts of the universe has had time to reach us since the so-called theoretical Big Bang. Beyond the observable universe, there may be an infinite number of galaxies, but we cannot know for sure because their light has not yet had time to reach us. The idea of multiple universes is called the multiverse, and there are many different theories about what the multiverse could be. And these theories are based on very solid mathematics and physics. These theories suggest that multiple universes are not only possible but probable. The theories of the multiverse include the inflationary multiverse. This theory suggests that the universe underwent a period of rapid expansion in the very early stages of its existence. This expansion may have created bubbles of space-time, each with its own laws of physics. Then there's, of course, string theory, the string theory landscape. This theory suggests that there are many different possible ways to combine the fundamental strings that make up the universe. Each possible combination could create a different universe. And then there's the eternal inflation multiverse. This theory suggests that the universe is constantly inflating and creating new universes. Okay, so much for current models of science that are pretty mind-boggling. But how do we compute this? Well, we compute this first with mathematics, then with our perceptual experiences, then our mental processes. And yes, our perceptions are entangled with our mental processes. Our senses take in information, but they also may be generating information. And our brains do not simply record information. Instead, they actively interpret it. Now, that sounds crazy because the brain is a physical object. How does it interpret? But if you think of the brain and the mind as modified experiences in consciousness, then if there's only one reality, then consciousness, mind, brain, body, perceptions, mental activity are all a unified process in that one consciousness, then it's okay to say that the brain, which is modified consciousness, is actually constructing our experience of what we call reality. Our expectations, our theories, our mathematics, our perceptions are maybe not accurate descriptions of reality at all. They are influenced by our thoughts, feelings, beliefs, by our cognitive biases. And every perception is entangled with a mental process. So our perceptions are not simply a matter of passively recording information from the world around us. In fact, they may be creating the experience of the world around us. And therefore, the one consciousness is modifying itself into both the theory, the mental processes, the perception of these infinite universes and these trillions of galaxies, all contained in the one consciousness. And that human consciousness and cosmic consciousness are entangled to give us this experience. We have many adventures ahead now. Across the seas of space lie new raw materials of our imagination. But the source of imagination is not across the seas of what we call external space. The source of imagination, thought, conceptualization, theories, math is inner space. It doesn't matter. Outer space, inner space, go beyond all these boundaries, and you end up with formless reality that could be God. And so that would be a God much more grand, much more magnificent than any religion has imagined or any science has dared to explore. Consciousness and cosmos are entangled. There is no way out of this argument. To know the cosmos, you need consciousness. And consciousness and cosmos are the same unbounded reality that we could call God, if that's the word we choose. So both God and you need an upgrade. God is grander, and than the traditional God of religion, and you are grander than even that, because without you, even these concepts would not be there. Without you, there would be no math, no cognition, no perception, no models of this mind boggling, grand experience that we call reality. Let me know what you think.